which one though? I know. You're going to use a high frequency, okay? You're going to need to go just a little. This doesn't work anymore. So you're going to use a high frequency. So you're going to use the 15 in there, okay? And this is when we use more than one focal zone. And also, what else would we probably want to use? That's my favorite thing. Compounding. Because compounding was created for small parts. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, I plop the transducer down. I'm looking at a right side, and I dark. It's really dark. There? That's better. Okay, so the first thing I do when I routinely look and I scan through the right side of the thyroid. I look through it. I look through my isthmus. And then I go over to the left, and I just kind of map out, okay, what's ahead of me here? Not much. It all looks pretty normal, okay? So, granted, as I slow down, I might see something, but I kind of know I'm behind in my schedule, and this looks like an easy thyroid. So I'm going to be able to whip through this, okay? So our first image, what we're going to take is a side-by-side image of left and right. And some of these, we have the wide, whoops. You don't have this on the Sequoia, but you're going to have this on a lot of your GEs, okay? So the wide scan is okay to do this, but when we go to one lobe, you need to take it back. So I'm going to put my focus, and of course on this machine. So on your Sequoia, you're going to have, I'm going to move this together a little bit. So on your Sequoia, you're going to have an option of different focal zones. What I want are the 3 that are pretty close together, okay? They're not the 3 that are really close together, they're the 3 that are like this. So if you have a question about that, make sure you call us over what focal zones you're supposed to use, but you should have 3. And then you're going to take this image, just showing the echo texture side by side. This is my transverse thyroid, okay? Take an image. You can take 1 or 2 if you feel like you need to take 1 or 2. This is my isthmus here, okay? Everybody know what an isthmus is now? Yes. Okay, that's your isthmus. So I might take a picture here side by side. You're going to do your isthmus later. So if you don't get a perfect picture now, you're going to come back to it. But you want a side by side grayscale, and then you want a side by side color image, which it doesn't let me do that. And then the whole point of getting color is to get a little color in your thyroid. Now, your thyroid shouldn't light up like a Christmas tree. Some people's will, but it shouldn't. Okay, so you just want to get a little color in there and take that image. Okay? Good? Yeah. Okay. All right, then we're going to move to right lobe. And I tend to always do measurements first because I've had radiologists scream at me that they don't like searching through my measurements. Even though they have a worksheet that I've written measurements down for them, they are lazy and they don't even want to look at my worksheet. They want to see it in the first 2 images that I'm showing in my study. So the first thing I do is a transverse. So you go up high, go superior, and come down so you can figure out where the mid is. So my mid is at the widest point right here. So I am going to measure my thyroid in mid, okay? So this is my transverse thyroid mid measurement. I'm going to measure from here straight over, okay? Not like this, left to right, okay? All right, so that's my first measurement. Then I'm gonna turn long. And again, if you have that nice little wide scan, you can use the wide scan. What I think the thing that troubles people are, where does my thyroid start and end? This one almost kind of goes off the screen a little bit. So long, I feel like it kind of comes around here, and it probably goes out to about here. And then I'm gonna do my AP in long, okay? This is my AP.
So Stephanie, in long and trans, you just want one image width measurement, you don't want a separate image by itself?
No, because you're gonna go through the protocol and take all sorts of images, okay? You're just gonna do your measurements first, okay?
Yours are kind of at an angle there, so that's your,
What do you mean by an angle?
your calipers. It's not like straight across the screen.
You mean for long?
Yeah.
Well, long, you're measuring the long thyroid. So it's not about straight across in long. It's like if this were a kidney, I'm gonna go to the longest point, which is here, and I'm gonna go to the longest point.
Okay.
Okay? AP, I'm going to do straight across. Okay, but that's my longest. I wouldn't do it from here to here because that's not longest. In a kidney, you measure from the longest point to the longest point. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then AP, usually go in the middle and do AP. Okay?
So AP is like in the middle, not like the deepest.
Kind of in the middle. Like if this is really thin here and then it gets a little thicker, I might move it over, but I don't tend to go up here. I just do it right in the middle somewhere. Like I'm not gonna do it here. I'm gonna do it where it's a little bit thicker here, but I'm not gonna go way up here and do it. I'm gonna do it probably right about here. Okay? That's my AP. Okay, wherever it thickens up a little bit. Alright, and then you're gonna go back and now we're gonna do our protocol, okay? So you're always gonna start with superior, just like we do with kidneys. So go all the way out of the thyroid, all the way up out of the thyroid, and then slowly come back in. Okay, so I start to see thyroid tissue there, right? So I stop, that's gonna be my transverse, right, superior. Okay, and I'm gonna take that. Then I'm gonna unfreeze and I'm gonna come down a little more and I'm gonna do transverse right, superior / mid. Okay, I'm gonna take that. Then I'm gonna come down and do mid again. And actually take off the wide scan, okay? Okay, so here's my mid. I'm gonna do mid. It's kind of just like the kidney. Mid, take that, unfreeze, and then I'm gonna do color. Okay, I'm gonna put my color box in a little bit over here. See, I have a little bit of color in my thyroid, but not that much. Okay, there's my mid. Take the color off, and then I'm gonna start going inferior. So I'm gonna go a little bit inferior. Here's mid inferior. Take that, and then I'm gonna go all the way down, come back in a little. There's my inferior. Okay, is that clear? Yes.
Are you sweeping or are you moving your hand?
You can do either, but I'm definitely sweeping. I'm always sweeping. I mean, I'm moving my transducer a little, but I'm just sweeping through. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. So then I'm gonna go long. And it's the same thing with a kidney. Many of you will struggle with the medials and the laterals. I'm gonna put on the wide scan again. I'm gonna bring it back down a little. So you kind of just have to play with sweeping back and forth. Like that's lateral. If I go all the way out, I'm going to see my carotid, and then medial is going to be towards the middle of her neck. So my long thyroid is right about here. Now, if I can't fit that whole thyroid on the screen, I do the same thing where I'll take a picture of my superior pole, and then I'll move it and take a picture of my inferior pole. Okay. What would be something I could do, like when I measured this thyroid, I'm gonna take it off wide scan. Okay, on the Sequoia, you're not gonna have wide scan, okay? This is my long thyroid. What could I do to fit that whole thyroid in there? What's that? You could, but I don't, dual screen I think we used to use, but I don't think it's very accurate. What's something else I could do? I don't know if it's gonna fit on there. What else? What can I do just for a measurement?
Different transducer?
I could pick up a different transducer.
The curve?
Okay, so you could pick up the curved only for a measurement when you have a large thyroid. Pick up the curved. It's the one time I want you to put it all the way up to the 6. So the highest frequency on that curved is a 6 without compounding. So use that 6 to measure it, and then pick up your other transducer. Go back to your other transducer. Okay, so if you can't fit that thyroid, a lot of you will be able to, but sometimes on the Sequoia, because you can't wide scan it, you're going to have it go off the screen. And sometimes you'll get thyroids that are like 8 centimeters, are huge, and you have to pick up that curve to measure it. Okay? All right. All right, where were we? Okay, so I'm gonna go back to wide scan. So I'm gonna take a mid image. Okay, that's gonna be my first. So long, right, thyroid, mid. Okay, put color on, so we put color on everything. I wanna make sure that I have a little bit of color flow in my thyroid. Okay, so that's my long mid with color, unfreeze it. Now I'm gonna go lateral and medial. So the hardest thing is when you go lateral, not doing this where I bleed. If I see your carotid sitting there like this, when you go lateral, see how I see a little bit of this carotid? I know you're oblique. Okay, it's really easy to tell when you're oblique. So you have to practice kind of just going straight lateral. Okay, and you take 1 and then 2 and then sweep. Okay, so take 2 of them out, just like we did the kidney. You go 1, 2, take that, and then look all the way out to your carotid. Okay, and then we're gonna go medial. So and sometimes when you go medial, you've got to move the transducer. Like when you get a feel for this, sometimes if I sit here, it's weird. So I have to kind of come out and then go back medial. Okay, so I'm gonna go 1, and I'm gonna go 2, and I'm gonna try to keep that pole in. That's medial, medial, and then I'm gonna sweep all the way in. Any questions? So mid, lateral, lateral, mid, medial, medial. Good? Everybody good? Okay. And then when I go over to the other side, this is when I take a picture of my isthmus. I mean, and you took a picture of the isthmus in the beginning, but this is where I measure it. Transverse, isthmus. And some of you are gonna have really tiny. Some of them will be big, they'll be easy to see from here to here. Okay, measure your isthmus. If you didn't get your isthmus in your original, then you need to take a color image of your isthmus. Okay, and then you move on to the left. Okay, any questions? I take it off wide scan, so then I'm gonna go back, do my measurements on the left. Caliper, I'm gonna go straight across, left to right, not this, and nothing like this, straight across from here to here. Okay, that's my transverse, left, thyroid, type, take that. Okay, and then I'm gonna go long. I'm gonna put on my wide scan or pick up a different transducer. For her, it is kind of going off the screen a little bit. Let's just say we can see the whole thing. I'm gonna go all the way out to here, and I'm gonna go straight across. It looks like it goes to here. And then I'm going to pick up another caliper and go from here straight across to here. Okay? Good? Okay. Then I'm gonna go back. We're gonna do trans. We're gonna go all the way up. So basically, you're just taking your measurements side by side. So when someone opens your case, they can see your measurements. That's the first thing you did. All right, so then you're gonna start superior. Here's my superior. I'm gonna take it off wide scan. Okay, so that's transverse. Thyroid, I know I have transverse on there twice. Superior, come in a little. There's my superior mid. Okay, here's my mid. Gonna take mid. And then I'm gonna go mid inferior, and then I'm gonna go inferior.
Do mid color, right?
Mid color too, yes, thank you.
Do you see the
Okay.
esophagus there?
Mid color.
Okay.
Yep, see the esophagus?
Yeah.
Good. And what's this?
Carotid.
Good.
Left.
And this is what?
Esophagus.
Okay. And then you're gonna go long. Okay, I'm gonna put it on wide scan again. Now, if you can't see it, the whole thyroid on the Sequoia, because you can't do wide scan, then what you're gonna do, again, is you're gonna scoot down and take a picture of the superior pole and a picture of the inferior pole. Okay, don't pick up a different transducer to do that. Why?
You only do that for the measurement.
Okay, but why wouldn't I do it for this?
Frequency, I guess.
The frequency what?
Resolution.
The resolution will be really bad. So it's okay to do it to measure it, but it's not okay to do it to take images. And what frequency am I gonna use in there on my thyroid? Which is what? Through 5, what frequency am I gonna use?
It's
10
compounding.
10 compounding or a 14, okay? Most of you, you're gonna use the 10 compounding. On some of you, you can use the 14 compounding, but sometimes the 14 doesn't penetrate enough and it's prettier on the 10. So try out the 14 and the 10, both compounding. You must have compounding on, okay? So then, we're gonna do medial lateral, so I'm gonna sweep lateral. I'm keeping both poles in, okay? I'm not doing this oblique thing where I see my carotid. Lateral, lateral, and then I'm gonna come in and do medial, medial. Okay? So that is your thyroid protocol. Any questions about the thyroid protocol? No? Okay, so we're gonna start with that today. Anytime I do a thyroid, I always look, a couple things I always do is you're gonna do lymph nodes, you're always gonna look around the neck. And we'll do that another day, but I want you to make you aware that, we always go all the way up on the neck and scan down out lateral to the thyroid, make sure there aren't any lymph nodes. And anytime you're scanning a thyroid, when you get these big thyroids and you go inferior, don't stop here because I've gone like this underneath the clavicle and boom, there's a mass. Okay? So don't forget, always go down, go way down, look underneath the clavicle. Then go over to this side, go all the way through that thyroid, make sure you go all the way down, look through down to the clavicle. Okay?
Stephanie, can you show us the lymph node if you can see one?
I'm not sure she has any. It's pretty, they're not super clear on here, but I think
Yeah.
this might be one right here. And she's a lymph node, let me turn on it. Right here.
Okay.
There's a little lymph node right there. It's very small.
Usually it has a little hyperechoic
Yeah,
center,
usually
right?
there's a hyperechoic, but this is looks like this might
Oh,
be.
that's
See
the
this one
one,
right
okay.
there. See how tiny it is?
Yeah.
Oh, there's one.
There's
You
one.
guys see that one? You
Yeah.
see that one wall up there?
Yeah.
On my screen, it has a little hilum in it. So there's one. Let's see. Let's go look on the other side. So you can, when you finish, you can go ahead and
Yeah.
look for lymph nodes. I just scan up and down the neck. That's little. See how tiny that is?
Yeah.
Totally normal. Go all the way up. I always go all the way up. I mean, sometimes I've gone up under the chin before and I've seen, things. Here's a lymph node. And then here's your mid. And what's this right here?
Trachea.
Thank God you guys forgot. Okay, got it. All right.
Okay.
Final, we're going